So this morning I want to talk about a Jewish feast day that is coming up called Shavuot. Christians prefer to call it Pentecost. Shavuot means, I believe it means Feast of Weeks, and Pentecost means Count 50. So, what I want to go ahead and do here is screen share and get started. And we'll go to Google. The Torah was given on Shavuot. The Torah is essentially was given at the same time that the Old Covenant was given exclusively to the people of Israel, no other nation. Okay. That is one of the many significant meanings of Shavuot. Now, I have a list here. And what I want to do, and I don't have it in order, so what I want to do is go straight to Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34. I know that among some of the Jews, some think that they don't need a new covenant. They think that the old covenant is what they need, and they want to stick to that. But I've got to go to Jeremiah 31 in the prophets, where it talks about the new covenant and why it is necessary. Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, says Jehovah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. After what days? After the time of the Gentiles is finished. After Israel's tribulation days are over, saith Jehovah. Okay, instead of writing them on tablets of stone, he's going to put his Torah in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Jehovah, for they all shall know me from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Jehovah. For I will, and this is the other part. There are two portions of the new covenant. The one is to write the Torah into the hearts and minds of all Israel. The second part is to forgive their iniquities and remember their sins no more. Okay. So I ask a question. So I'm going to ask a question after each one of these statements, and it's going to be essentially the same question. You know that the Torah, the Old Covenant, was given on Mount Sinai, and it was on Shavuot, right? What are the odds then? This is my question. What are the odds that the new covenant, instead of being on Mount Sinai, is going to be on Mount Zion instead, and given on the same day? Is it possible? Well, I'm going to explain to you why it is not only possible, but it is very, very probable. And bear in mind, folks, that Shavuot is coming up. All right. So, do you know what day Mount Zion, Jerusalem, was returned to the Jews, the people of Judah? Well, on the Roman calendar, it was June 7, 1967. Do you know what day that was? Anybody? Shavuot. That was the day. Now, the next two statements, a lot of Jews are not going to want to listen to. This will be for the Christians. I've already made the case to the Jews why the new covenant should come on Shavuot. It's already enough. Why the Messiah, why the Moshiach should come on Shavuot. Now I'm going to make the case to the Christians. Christians, you've already heard and seen the first two. I will prove my point here. (1967). There it is right here. Capturing the Wall, the story of Shavuot, 1967. By Aaron Hirsch. A brilliant flash shattering the darkness, the lonely climber saw in the blink of an eye that he was almost on top of the peak, and around him a gorgeous valley spread with lakes. Oh, what is this? Also toss. Let me see what I can find out about Shavuot here. I didn't look at the story first, but as you can see, the title. Maybe I need to find another article. Magic of Shavuot, 1967. On the last 2 millennia, Jews have visited Jerusalem in honor of festivals in lieu of the biblically ordained pilgrimages. On the holiday of Shavuot, there was also a custom to visit the purported grave of King David. Now, why is that? Does anybody know? On Mount Zion, since the date of his death was on Shavuot. Oh, wow, we have one more clue, one more argument as to why Moshiach, son of David, might arrive on Shavuot. When Shavuot arrived in 1948, it was a month after the establishment of the State of Israel, and the Jews could no longer continue to make the pilgrimage to the Western Wall. The Jordanians occupied the eastern half of the city, since the War of Independence blocked all rights of passage to the Jews. However, the pilgrimage to King David's tomb on nearby Mount Zion located on the Israeli side, divided Jerusalem, continued. Over the next 19 years, the crowd made their way to Mount Zion, where across barbed wire they could view the Old City and the Temple Mount. On the morning of Shavuot, June 15, it was actually June 7 was Shavuot, but certain segments of Jews think it's the 15th. I'm not going to sit here and argue about it. The city was taken on June 7th, 1967 on Shavuot. Just 6 days after the liberation of the Old City, Jerusalem, in the Six-Day War, the Old City was officially opened to the Israeli public. The army wanted to be sure that there were no landmines or snipers in the Old City. For the first time in 2,000 years, masses of Jews could visit the Western Wall and walk through church streets of Judaism's capital as members of the sovereign Jewish nation. Each Jew who ventured to the Western Wall on that unforgettable day was realizing their ancestors' dreams over the millennia. One was of those rare euphoric moments in history. When? Shavuot. Now, this is something we can all agree on. Whether people believe that Shavuot was on the 15th of June of that year on the Roman calendar or the 7th, you can still agree that Shavuot was the day, was the notable day of taking back Jerusalem. Okay. Now, this is something that the Christians will all Christians will absolutely disagree with me on this. But it's not my problem. It's not my fault. That is the date Yehoshua, the Messiah, was born. Now, we can all agree that it takes 9 months from conception to birth of a normal, healthy baby boy. Isn't that right? I do think that half the world's population would agree with me. Okay. At least half. The female half. Now, so we go to Luke 1 and verse 26. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from Jehovah to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Miriam. Not Mary, Miriam. Get used to the truth, folks, because I'm going to give you more of it. The angel came in unto her and said, Hail, you are mighty, you are highly favored. Jehovah is with you. Not shall be with you, is with you. Very important. Blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this might be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Miriam, for you have found favor with Jehovah. And behold, you shall upon permission. No, that's not what it says. You shall upon consent. That's not what it says. We just read that you are highly favored. Jehovah is with you. Blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this might be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for you have found favor with Jehovah, and behold, you shall conceive in your womb. Not you have, but you shall. And bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Yehoshua, not Jesus. This was added by false translators. Go do your research and find out for yourself. He shall be great. He shall be called the Son of the Highest, and Jehovah Elohim shall give him the throne of Rome. Is that what it says? Is that what it says? No. The throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of the European Romans forever. Oh, no, that's not what it says. He shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there shall be no end. And Miriam said unto the angel, how shall this be, seeing I know not a man? So she, just like all the other Jews, thought the Moshiach would come by the normal procreation process between a man and a woman. The angel answered and said unto her, the Holy Spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the highest, the power of the Father shall overshadow you. So the Holy Spirit is the power of the highest. For this reason also that holy thing which shall be born of you shall be called the Son of Jehovah. Now, the 6th month. Now, other translations try to pervert the truth here by claiming it was in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy. They put on here in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy. It does not say that. It does not say that in the old script at all. So you follow this script in the 6th month. So now let's look at the Hebrew calendar. All righty. The Holy Spirit was already there with her, because Gabriel told her so. And when he said, you shall, that meant as soon as he was done speaking, it was going to happen. On the 6th month, Elul. Let's count months, shall we? Folks, you got to understand, this is, after all, 2nd grade math. Why is it that your preacher can never get it right with 2nd grade math? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The month of Sivan. Right here. Which Hebrew Jewish holy day is on the month of Sivan? It is Shavuot. Shavuot. By whom is the new covenant going to be given to the whole house of Israel? By Yehoshua, Israel's Moshiach. Okay? Now, let's go to Acts 2. Christians. Now, what does Pentecost mean? It means count 50. It is essentially Shavuot. Now, when the day of Shavuot was fully come, and they were all in one accord in one place, and suddenly there came the sound out of heaven with like a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. Now, the Pentecostals make a mockery out of this. blaspheming in doing so, because it clearly states how this occurred. Verse 5, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men of every nation under heaven. Yes, they came. The Jews came on that day to Jerusalem out of every nation under heaven. And when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together, and they were confounded, because every man heard them speak his own language, or the language of the one who was hearing it. In other words, the curse of Babel left at that moment. What's the curse of Babel? Confounding the languages, or the language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, behold, aren't these all who usually speak Galilean? And now we hear every man in our own individual tongue, wherein we were born. You know, some of them were born in Persia, some of them were born among the Medes, and the dwellers of Mesopotamia, Iraq today, and some of them were born in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, or Pamphylia in Egypt, and parts of Libya and about Cyrene, and the strangers of Rome, and Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. And we all do hear them speak in our own tongues the wonderful works of Jehovah. And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying to one another, what does this mean? And others were mocking and said, these men are full of new wine. But Peter, this is the next clue, folks. Shavuot. I think by the time I'm done with this, every one of us listening to this video today should be convinced, whether you are a Jew or whether you call yourself a Christian, you should be convinced that the Messiah is coming on Shavuot. Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, you men of Judea, and all them that dwell in Jerusalem, be it known unto you, and listen to my words. For these are not drunken, as you suppose, seeing it is only the third hour of the day. But this is that which was spoken of by the prophet Joel. Now, let me preface this when I read this, because he read it exactly as he read out of the prophet Joel. This was only a partial fulfillment. Listen carefully. And it shall come to pass, it is written in Joel, in those days. Peter says in the last days. I would concur with Peter that the last days means in those days. Now, let me ask you a question. Was Peter living in the last days as we know it today? No. It was a partial fulfillment. This is what he was pointing out. Says Jehovah, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons. Whose sons? Joel, the prophet of Israel. And your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And who were these? Who were these these were Jews. These were Jews who came out of every nation, kindred, and tongue to go to Jerusalem to celebrate Shavuot. They were Israelites. And on my servants and on my handmaids I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. Now, Joel continues to read on, but you notice here, that the signs in heaven above and earth below, blood, fire, and vapors of smoke, didn't happen yet. Did it? Didn't happen at that moment, did it? No. That's why it's a partial fulfillment. That means this event is going to occur again, this time with a total fulfillment. On what day? Shavuot. And I will show wonders in heaven and signs in the earth beneath, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. And the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before that great and notable day of Jehovah shall come to pass. Whosoever shall call upon the name of Jehovah, not the Lord, shall be saved. Now, I want to point something out to you now, you Christians. This is for Israel. We just read that the new covenant is for the house of Israel and the house of Judah. All right? This verse right here, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood. Let me show you something here. Is it Matthew 24? I do believe. Oh, what am I doing? All right. James Version, let's go down to, is it this one? There it is, right here. Okay, immediately after the tribulation of immediately after the tribulation of what days? Immediately after Israel's tribulation is over. Israel's tribulation started in 67 CE, and it continued for millennia after millennia. It didn't stop, and it won't stop until the appointed time. It is a time appointed from the beginning. Shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven? Wait a minute. Didn't we just read that in Acts 2 and Joel 2? Peter ties Shavuot, or as you guys call Pentecost, with this statement. And I will show wonders in heaven above and the signs in the earth beneath, blood, fire, and vapors of smoke. Peter ties Shavuot with that statement. Are you convinced yet? What now? What then? What happens next? If that's the day that the powers of heaven is going to be shaking and blood, fire, and pillars of smoke, what happens next? This appearance of the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Yes, folks, on the same day, Shavuot. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the cloud of heaven with great power and glory. And he shall send now. I have something else. When do you think that the gathering of the elect is going to be? The gathering of all Israel is going to be? When do you think that's going to take place? I think I've just been able to prove that Yehoshua Messiah coming with the new covenant for the house of Israel and the house of Judah will occur on Shavuot. When will the elect, all Israel, be gathered together? Should we assume it's on the same day? No. Let me show you why. Haggai 2. So as we see in Haggai 2, the word of Jehovah came to Haggai in the 20th day or the 21st day of the 7th month. I'm going to go check real quickly on the Hebrew calendar, and the 21st day, is there any special on the 7th month? I don't see anything here. Okay. Number of days, 30, hold on. Rosh Hashanah. The first day of the 7th month, Yom Kippur, is, well, that's not the 21st day. I know that, Sukkot. Let's look at this, Sukkot. Ends on the 21st day. Okay, wow. Do you know what that means? Oh, this is incredibly amazing. That would be, what is that? The last day of Sukkot. That was the day that Jehovah appeared in the thick cloud in Solomon's temple. That was also the day that a thick cloud appeared on the Temple Mount last year. That day, that same day. Amazing. Okay. I don't want to get sidetracked here. Let's get back to where I was. So he appears to Haggai. The word came to Haggai. And he says, speak to Zerubbabel. Now, first of all, let's go look at the name Zerubbabel. And let's look at him carefully. Zerubbabel. What does Zerubbabel mean? It means begotten in Babylon, a leader of the returning of the Israelites from Babylon. Get it? Get it? I know the Jews get it. You Christians better start getting it too. We come down here and we see verse 18, consider now from this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month. What day is that? That is the day that the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid, Hanukkah, or day number 1 of Hanukkah. Remember that day. Why? This is the day where the blessing is going to occur. Right here. Now, we go to verse 20. It says, again, the word of Jehovah came into Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. So I used to think that he was going to shake the heavens and the earth on the 24th day of the 9th month. Now I know better. The shaking of the heavens and the earth is going to happen on Shavuot. Here's where I used to misread it, and I will point out in a way that will make it clear to everyone reading this. I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms. I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen. I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses. Number 1 definition on brown driver Briggs is swallow or swift birds. What birds? War birds. So he's going to the war birds and their riders shall all come down, every one by the sword of his brother. In that day, says Jehovah of hosts, I will take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, says Jehovah, and I will make you as a sign. Why? Why? This. His name is a sign. He was the leader of the group that came out of Babylon. His name means begotten in Babylon. Every one of us who were begotten outside of Israel are begotten in Babylon. So let's first of all, let's go to her. Okay, this is the first come out of her, my people. This was the cry, the announcement for the people who Zerubbabel led out of Babylon, ancient Babylon, 51 verse 45. As you can see, severe judgment upon Babylon, verse 45. Verse 44 says, I will punish Baal in Babylon and will bring forth out of his mouth which he has swallowed up. Figuratively speaking, that's bring all the Jews out of Babylon. See. And the nations shall not flow together any more of him. Yes, the wall of Babylon shall fall. Instructions for the exiles, my people, go out from the midst of her. Deliver every man his soul from the fierce anger of Jehovah, and lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and the violence in the land, ruler against ruler. So that happened, but it's going to happen again. Same day. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. So he's telling them to come out of her, my people. It was Zerubbabel, begotten in Babylon, a leader of the returning Israelite exiles. So, Zerubbabel is made a sign for the future in the last days. Come out of her, my people. All right. Well, Revelation 18 and verse 4. You've read all of this, I'm sure. After all these things, I heard another angel come down from heaven, saying, having great power, saying, the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Interesting, if you think about it. For all angels, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Future tense, folks. And be that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Jehovah has remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she rewarded you. Rewarded who? The Jew. Jerusalem. As Rome has done to Jerusalem, do unto Rome as Rome has done to Jerusalem. And then double unto her according to her works in her cup, which she has filled to her double. What cup? Let's see. This one. See if I can find it again. This graven image of Ecclesia right here. She has a golden cup in her hand and a scepter with the mark of the beast. And she has a crown on her head, and she looks down upon synagogue. So do unto her as she did unto the Jew. That's right. And double unto her according to her works, in the cup which she has filled to her, double it. Make it twice as bad for her as she did to the Jews. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow get to her, for she says in her heart, I sit as a queen, yes, with a crown on her head. What crown are we talking about, folks? That one. With the fake 12 stars. She went and snatched the crown from off of synagogue and put it upon her own head. She trampled down the Jews generation after generation after generation after generation and refused to stop. And now that crown is going to be snatched off of her head, and she is going to be forced into poverty overnight. When is that going to happen? Well, that's anybody's guess. However, the coming out of Babylon, the sign is Zerubbabel. That sign is on the 24th day of the 9th month. Now, why would it take so long? Well, what has to be done is what I pointed out yesterday in Numbers 24. Balaam's fourth oracle. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, has said, and the man whose eyes are open has said, he said, who which heard the words of Jehovah and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but having his eyes wide open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not yet. There shall come out of Jacob a star, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. That is the kingdom of David. Remember, Yehoshua is going to sit on his father's throne, the throne of his father David, and he will smite the corners of Moab, that would be Jordan, and destroy all the children of Pelesheth. Pelesheth, that's the Palestinians in Gaza. As I pointed out yesterday, it's very, it was in, actually it's in Joel 3. Joel 3. Strong's Concordance. Pelesheth. See that? Pelesheth. A territory in the South Mediterranean coast of Israel. What is that? Gaza. So, this has to happen first before calling the rest of Israel back home. This has to be done. In the fourth oracle, as I pointed out, and Edom shall be a possession. So he's going to take all the land away from Edom, take Seir away from Seir, and out of Jacob shall come a he that shall have dominion. I pointed out that's in clearly in Daniel 7. Pointed that out yesterday. And shall destroy the squatters, the Arab squatters that remain in the city of Jerusalem. He's going to clear the land out. Let's see. All that offend. See if I can find this in the New Testament. Parable of the fishes. Let's see. May have to go to Google for that. Let's see here. Is it Matthew 14? I'll try Matthew 14 and see if I can find it there. All right. No, that's the no, the parable. Come on, folks. Parable. Not fishes and loaves. That's what the problem is. It always wants to misread what I'm trying to find. Okay, the parable of the drawing of the net. That's in Matthew 13:47. That's what I'm looking for. 47. 47. Now, again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered every kind, which was, when it was full, they drew it to shore and sat down and gathered the good into the vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be in the end of the age, or when the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. Okay? When is that going to happen? Is it Shavuot? Is it this Shavuot? I don't know. But I believe it's Shavuot. The angels shall come forth and separate the wicked from the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay. Now, that is not exactly the one I was looking for. I always have trouble with this because there's another one that is very similar to that. Gathers out of the kingdom. See, maybe it's in out of the kingdom. I'm going to find it. I am. Because it's right here in this particular chapter. And I always mess it up. Every single time. There it is, right there. Why do I never get it right? Why do I always miss it? 41. 41. Oh, there it is. See, I always run right over it and I miss it every single time. That's how easy it is to miss it, folks. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels and shall gather out of his kingdom. That's the parable of the weeds. See, I always get the two mixed up. All right. So we'll start in the first part of the parable. Then Yehoshua, not Jesus, Yehoshua sent the multitude away and went to his house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare this parable of the tares of the field. And he answered and said unto them, He that sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. Who are the children of the kingdom? Israel. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. Want to find out the truth, go all the way back to Genesis. The woman's seed and Satan's seed. The enemy that sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is of the end of the world. And of what world? And of the time of the Gentiles. And the reapers are the angels, gathering together the elect. Remember, Romans 11, verses 25 through 27, you will see that Israel is the elect for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's sake. That's exactly what it says. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels and shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. You know, the ones that chant death to Israel. Yeah, them. That's iniquity, chanting death to Israel. That is a sin. That is offensive. So there are all of those are going to be gathered, taken, thrown out of the kingdom. Just like it is written here. And where is the kingdom at again? In Jerusalem, right? But we go to Numbers 24. Balaams Oracle. It says, And out of Jacob there shall come he that has dominion, and he will destroy them that remains of the city. The what that remains in the city? The answer is in Matthew 13 in the parable of the weeds. They shall gather out of his kingdom, Jerusalem, all the things that offend, and they that do which do iniquity, those are the ones who chant death to Israel. And shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has an ear, let him hear. I concur with that. He that has an ear, let him hear. The gathering of all Israel is going to happen. I have proven it over and over and over and over again. Now I do believe I'm able to prove that the great quaking and the great shaking, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke, the sun turning into darkness and the moon into blood is going to happen on Shavuot. Shavuot is coming up. There is a lot of movement in the world right now. If you have been watching the news, you know it. If you haven't been watching the news, you might want to go and find out what's going on. United States and Iran, or I should say, the United States, Israel, and its allies are about to go head-to-head with Iran, Russia, and its allies. Iran has just announced that they're no longer going to abide with, it says, portions of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and that the rest of the world has 60 days to fix it. And according to news sources, they have placed short-range ballistic missiles all along the Persian Gulf around the Strait of Hormuz, causing the U.S. State Department to literally freak out. The Mossad pointed this out to the United States government, and this is the reason why they sent the USS Abraham Lincoln sailing at flank speed, the fastest speed it's allowed to go, directly to the Persian Gulf to stop them from blocking the Strait of Hormuz. And at the same time, Jared Kushner plans to come out with his peace plan, the peace deal of the century, after Ramadan, which is June the 4th, the last day of Ramadan. And what day is Shavuot again? It's arguably June the 9th on the Roman calendar. What was supposed to be the trip line? When they shall say peace and safety. Not when they shall sign a peace agreement. No, when they shall say peace and safety. It is written that come as a snare. Luke 21, verse 35. It says, verse 34, take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness. You want to talk about surfeiting and figurative drunkenness? There has been no time like the present. No time like the present, where this describes. And the cares of this life, no time like the present, folks. No time at all. So that the day comes upon you unawares. For as a snare it shall come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Where did he get that from? He got it from his father David. Okay. Psalm 69. 22. Okay, that was first of all, let's get a strong concordance. Let their table become a snare, a jinn, that's a bird trap. Okay? A bird trap, all right? Pach in Hebrew. Let their table become a pach before them. Before them? In their face. And let shalom, see that word, shalom? What does shalom mean? Peace and safety. All right? Let shalom become the bait. The bait. The bait of the trap. So who's taking the bait? Well, apparently the whole world. That's what it says here. What it says in, what did I do? Messed up. Luke 21. And verse 35, for as a snare it shall come on all of them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Now, one more time. 1 Thessalonians 3. What? 5. 5. But the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah's wrath so comes as a thief in the night, for one day shall say, Shalom, peace and safety. Then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So now the question is Jared Kushner going to announce the peace and safety plan, the shalom plan of the century on Shavuot, June 9th? We shall soon find out, won't we?